they don't understand why we're using framework. Therefore, it's always kind of a pressure on them to do something, like to apply controls or to implement controls. So I wanted to use this session to talk about what value does a cybersecurity framework provides. So if you're a security practitioner or a security leader, you would be able to communicate that in your organization, that what value security framework provides. It's not just a piece of paper or a document on your SharePoint site, on your website. It does add value, and that's what we're going to talk about. What value does it add? Now, first, I'm going to talk about what framework is. Second, how do you know which of the frameworks that are out there is the best fit for your organization? And third, what are the high-level contextual elements and organizational factors that inform the selection of a best fit security framework for your organization? In a nutshell, how does it fit in with your broader security program, and how does it all connect, and how do all the dots join up to be able to help you build a high-performing security functions? I will also touch on NIST cybersecurity framework. Now, key point I want you all to drive from this session today is that frameworks may not be exciting inherently, but they are really foundational to so many activities that are very important for the security function if as a leader you're building that, or for the security program you're building. I see in the chat session, Denver, Hyderabad, India, UK, great. Welcome, everyone. We'll keep moving. I'm curious to know, why are you here today? So if you can select the answer applicable to you, that would really help me. CD is asking, are slides available? CD, I generally don't share my slides. And the reason is I believe in that when you're more in the moment, in the present, and you will consume more or absorb more if there are no slides, because I know you'll just flip through slides and might not be, it happens with me, and that's what, it's not true for everyone, but that's what I believe in. So I hope you're okay with that. So SR has a question. From an enterprise perspective, do they expect it to be an expert on a cybersecurity framework, or this is more like a guide? SR, can you, I'm not really clear what you're asking. If you can try one more time and give me more clarity on your question, I will answer it. Okay. I want to learn so that I can transition to the cybersecurity field. Excellent. 22%, I'm building a cybersecurity program for my organization. Great. I'm just curious. 6.5%. Thank you, everyone, for answering. Okay, let's move on. Is your organization using an industry standard security framework? All of you leaders who are trying to build a security program, is there an existing one right now you're using? Let me know. While you are selecting your answer, I would like to say, the more you participate in chat when I ask question, or participate in chat with your other members, if you have any question or you want to comment, the more you will get out of this session. Okay, 68% says yes, 22% say no, and 9.1 I don't care. This is the first time I've I always have 0% here, but I'm happy to know there's some who don't care. So 68% will really get a lot of value out of it. Also 22%, because I will be talking about, what if you already have a framework, and what if you don't have a framework? What criteria or what factors you should consider in your decision making. So thank you, everyone, for answering. Okay, so this is picking a cybersecurity framework is a first step in a cybersecurity program. It doesn't mean that organizations treat it as a first step, because some organization might not have a cybersecurity framework and they're just doing things, implementing control. But it may seem a big challenge to select the right framework for your organization, but this is what I believe in, and this is from experience. If you are a security and risk management leader, you will have a bigger challenge if you fail to choose a framework for your security program, and that is a framework which is the best fit for your organization. And I'm saying so because security framework is a fundamental element of a successful security program. It helps organizations to better understand, manage, and reduce its cybersecurity risk. And how it does that, we are going to talk about in the later, slides. So the key question is, what is the framework? Now, I will give you an example. Let us say you have a house. You have a house or your friend's house, or there is a house or a building, whatever you can imagine. It has 6 or 7 floors, or maybe 8 or 9 floors, and there's no elevator. Now, let's say it has 9 floors, and you have to go to the 9th floor 10 times a day, or maybe one time, doesn't matter. The stairs going to the 9th floor are very steep and very narrow. They're quite steep and quite narrow. And you have to walk up, go up, come down. Now, what would happen? Can someone answer in the chat? What's going to happen? If you have to go to the 9th floor in a very big house, your stairs are very steep and very narrow. What's going to happen? What will be the impact on you as a user? If you can put in chat. Let me know what you think. What's going to happen? Okay, I don't see any answers coming, but I'm sure you guys are typing there. You'll be tired. Why you'll be tired? Because your entire concentration and effort and energy will be to, go up to the floor. DM, reluctant to use the 9th floor. Very good. It sounds like a risky climb. Very good. Excellent. That's what I'm exactly saying. So first, you will be concentrating too much only on one thing, and then your effort and progress will be slow, and you would not even motivated to go to 9th floor. And what if those stairs, if you have soft guardrails, if you have guardrails, some support which tells you, that you will not fall. And you can do texting while going up the floor. You can multitask. You can prioritize other things as well. When you have some rails, guardrails, or support rails, you can go up. That's exactly what a framework is. It's a soft guardrail. It is a set of interlinked items that provide you with the guidance and to some degree the soft guardrails that help inform the approach you take towards achieving a specific security objective. Yes, and I'm seeing answers very tired. If you don't have guardrails, you will probably fail. And if you see in an organization perspective, if you don't have a security framework, while you're building your security program, you would not know which security controls to prioritize on. You will just keep doing things from your gut feeling, and you would not know where to prioritize your budget as a security leader. You will not be able to go to your board and your executives or, from wherever you get money in the organization to say why you should have money. You would not have much reason for that. You will have to always depend upon, industry news to say, because today this thing is happening in industry, that's how. Today there are ransomware attack and that's how I need money, which is not a very plausible or very, defensible reason. So that is how you need a framework. It gives you a soft guardrail. And there is a reason I'm saying soft guardrail, because there is a difference between standards and framework. In framework, the majority of items are not mandatory. They can be added or deleted as you see fit based on your unique organization's risk landscape and risk appetite. And all organizations continue to have a unique risk. A financial industry will have a different risk than a utility industry. A manufacturing industry will have a different risk than a financial industry. An educational institute will have a different risk appetite, different kind of risk, because in educational and a university kind of a scenario, you have to share information more and more. So they all have their different threats, different vulnerabilities, and different risk tolerances. So how can you pick only one kind of a framework and apply it to all the industry? And so framework doesn't provide a recommended checklist of what all organizations should do, and it should be customized by different sectors and individual organizations to best suit their risk situations and needs. Somebody asked me a question, who will be the final decision maker on choice of framework? If you're a security leader, it should be a CISO. It should be your organization's CISO who will make a decision which framework to choose. However, I will talk about in later slides, maybe because you are in a financial industry, you have to comply to PCI standard. If you're in a utility company in North America, you have to comply to NERC standards, and that is kind of becomes a framework. But you can add more frameworks, and I'm going to talk about that. So a CISO of an organization can make that decision. However, there are different factors which needs to be considered. Now, which frameworks should you choose? I just wanted to show this slide that there are many frameworks, and I've just taken 4 here. Several frameworks out there already created and available for your organizations to access in order to create your own version. And you can create your own version. You can mix and match and create your own version. Again, because it depends upon your organization's need. And the reason there are many frameworks is because of the national regulations for IT security vary across the world. In Europe now, there's the GDPR as one standard or a framework, a regulation. As well as different organizations, different countries have different kind of a threat landscape. And also many countries with a strongly developed expertise prefer to create their own set of regulations and documents. So it's natural to have several cybersecurity frameworks out there. And in one of the slides, I'm going to show you that. Now, while there are many to choose from, selecting one, I would say, doesn't have to be an overly complex or time-consuming exercise. In a nutshell, selecting one is not a rocket science. PW is asking a question, if you don't have a CISO, if you're a small company, whoever is a security leader, if there's only one-man shop from security perspective, that's the person who will decide. But then they need to be themselves very experienced and knowledgeable about which one should I select and how, and because you would need money. Just selecting a framework doesn't help. You have to implement it too. So you would need money for that. And we're going to talk about that. Now, what if you don't pick a framework? What will happen? And I think that will answer some of your questions. Now, imagine for a moment that you are going to build your own house. Now, do you take a pile of bricks, just start mixing up the cement and start building walls? Of course, you don't do that. You could do that, but I'm pretty sure you will not get the results you want. You will not get your dream house. So one of the things you need before you start this process is you need a blueprint, a design, and something that will show you what it looks like when it's finished, the house is finished, where the walls will go, where the windows will go, where the front door goes, where the electrical and plumbing goes. At the end of the day, you need that blueprint to turn it into your dream house. The same way, security and risk management leaders must choose a framework when designing their security program. And if they don't, they will have many challenges. For example, there'll be critical control gaps or suboptimal implementation of controls, and they will waste a lot of effort and time on prioritizing control, which won't move risk profile. Let us say they are seeing, lot of account takeover attacks in their organization. Users are not clear on phishing, not security aware. Now, if they're seeing that, they should prioritize on implementing an MFA and building a security awareness program. Rather, if they just keep, they let us say they have just, limited amount of money. They don't have an asset management. They don't have security awareness. They don't have MFA. Now they need to prioritize based on, where should they put their money? Should they put money in asset management or security awareness based on what kind of a risk profile they have as an organization? Now, why you need a framework? That's a key question. So there are 4 reasons you need a framework. Authority, communication, justification, and security best practices. Let us go a little deeper into each of these reasons. Now, the authority, when you start building your security program, there is a sponsorship or a mandate process that you need to follow. As a security leader, you can't just go into an organization, you are hired and you say, you know what, I want to build a security program. And do you think everybody would listen? No. You have to have that sponsorship or mandate process, because building a security program can be very challenging. If there is nothing coming from the top directing other business executives to support your security program. And one of the most critical documents is something called an enterprise security charter. And it might say something else in your organization. Doesn't matter, but you have to understand the essence what I'm talking about. This enterprise security charter, it is typically signed off from the top people like CEOs or the board. It's an important document because what it does, it sets the tone for information security, tone from the top. And it gives the security leader, the CISO, or any security leader, the authority, the mandate, and the sponsorship to go about building their security program. And without charter, having conversation with your senior executives, like chief financial officer, or chief marketing officer, chief digital officer, chief operating officer, even your own CTO or CIO, chief risk officer, it will fail. You will fail to, or without that charter, it fails to give the traction for your security program. And I remember when in one of the organizations I was building security awareness program, you know what? There was a big resistance. The executive said, sorry, we have already so many trainings for our people to do. We don't want to add another training. And that is where framework can help, where you can say why we should do cybersecurity awareness program. Why should we want some time from your people to be security aware? And that's where, that tone from the top saying, sorry, I know you don't like it, but we have to do it because it's coming from the top. The board wants it done this year. Now, this is the document, this enterprise security charter document that would link your security program and management practices back to a well-known and proven security management framework. And you can say, I'm not saying this, industry is saying this. And alternatively, you can find yourself, or you may find yourself in a regulated industry where the decision has already been made for you. You don't have to pick a framework. There's already, you have to, comply to what is already there. And that is how, there was one of the questions, what if we don't have a framework? Where there are some companies where they will have a framework with a regulation or something to comply to. Others you will have to pick and choose. Now, other reason is communication. Now, we all know that cybersecurity has evolved over the years. What we have seen are a number of new phrases and concepts introduced into our business lexicon. But it's really important to remember here that the same word could have different meaning across different organizations and inside organizations and even at different level of an organization. All the time, I come across security practitioners where they believe threat and vulnerability are the same thing. Like in their mind, they're clear about it, but when they speak, they interchange those words. So what happens? People get confused. If we are not talking the same language, then obviously there is no communication. What is communication? Communication is what I say, you understand. What is in my mind, I'm able to duplicate that information. That is the true communication. But if I'm not using the same language, if I start using some other language, French, would you be able to understand me? You won't. So what I've seen, some people might call a risk is something other will call a threat. What some might call a threat is seen some others as a vulnerability. And you only have really got to think about the ongoing debate between the two terms, information security and cybersecurity. Now that they both are clearly two different things, but they are constantly being used as an interchangeable terms. So by using a framework, the advantage that you get is you begin to start using terminology in a consistent and a standardized way. And this makes it much easier for you and your stakeholders, both inside and outside your organization, to communicate effectively when it comes to securing support for your security program. I've seen so much confusion within the operations team about an event and an incident. What an event is, what is an incident is. Sometimes an event is called an incident. So it's extremely important to be on the same page when we have to really govern things. And you also would need an ongoing support in executing that program once you build the security program. So the framework will help you in building that continuous communication, awareness, and understanding, not only with your senior executives, but also between and among IT and operating units, your IT operations team, your server team, your network team, your all other SOC teams, NOC teams, all those teams. And also organizations are looking for better ways to collaborate with auditors and regulators. And framework provides opportunity for greater transparency and evidence collection because we are all singing from the same songbook. External taxonomy, yeah, DA, you're right, taxonomy. Organizations are looking for, basically, they're looking to engage with, to get business, right? Organizations put a proposal for some RFP because they want to win some business. So when they are engaging with a customer, a prospective customer is looking for certain assurances that show that you as an organization are meeting the baseline security expectations. And at that time, if you say we are, let's say we're using this cybersecurity framework, that gives confidence or assurance to your prospective that yes, I think I can engage with this organization, engage them in business, or I can work with them, or I can do business with them because they have at least they have a framework. They must be doing the right thing. And then they can go deeper and ask you to provide other assurances, what controls have you implemented and what not, based on what the engagement looked like. Also, you use a security framework. You can use, if you would like to, and that's the best way to use it, to communicate your current or desired cybersecurity posture, your roadmap. And it's a very powerful way to justify why you need more funding for your security program to support organizations' strategic objectives. Now, having that your conversation with your senior executives is much easier when you have got something to lean back on and something which is industry, vetted and industry standard. Now, another thing is justification. We put it slightly differently. We sometimes refer to them as defensibility. Now, that is about lining up the security program against an industry-recognized framework that provides a degree of justification as to why certain controls and processes have to be in place. And I use it all the time. When a business pushes back saying, oh, we don't have time for this. And, we don't want to do risk management. We don't have time to fill these documents or, get a sign off on a risk we are taking. this is why we should do. You open a framework, there is a control, there's a control catalog. You can say, this is what an industry framework is saying. Now, it certainly makes it an easy conversation to have with the executives that may be challenging a control that you may want to implement. And I already gave you an example from a security awareness program I was building. Because if you can say as an organization that we have agreed to align our security practices against this cybersecurity framework, for example, and then this control, once it's implemented, will help us protect against from threat X, Y, Z. It's a much easier conversation. And I think right now in organizations, we already have a lot of awareness about the threat landscape. Business wants us to do the right thing from security leadership. Business wants assurance that security leaders are doing the right thing. They're executing the right control or implementing the right control so that they are secure, because they don't care what controls you implement. They care they should be able to continue to do business. They don't care you do this cybersecurity framework or ISO or COVID, doesn't matter to the business within your organization. They just care that you are doing the job you need to do. And your job is to tell them because you have to get money from the business, or you need to get budget, right? From the business units who are creating revenue. So it all has to go hand in hand. And the roles and responsibilities, for creating, implementing the control, all that can be explained to the business executives to get more, to get them on your side, to get that buy-in from them, so that you can easily do the work. You can build your security program and fill all the gaps in your organization. So what I'm saying, it's a far stronger defense, especially when you're looking for support for your business case and going to the board, especially today, economy, which has been impacted by COVID. It's a very challenging. The budgets are cut. But don't get me wrong, just going to the board with the business case that the program is aligned to the framework won't necessarily give you the guarantee that you get the money. But it's absolutely a stronger case that if you go in there and say, I need the money for your security program. If I was you, I would also bring data to the conversation. I will say, this is what industry says, and this is what we are not doing, and see the incidents happening in our environment, or see the incident happening with the similar kind of organization. Let's say you're in a financial industry, see what kind of attacks had happened, and that are the losses. So connect everything from framework to incident, and you really can get the money you want from your leadership. Now, finally, adopting a framework helps you deliver best practices. It will assist you in determining which activities are most important to assure critical operations and service delivery. In turn, that will help you to prioritize investment and maximize the impact of each dollar spent on cybersecurity, right? For example, let us say organization leadership, for leadership, compliance is an extremely high priority. Because for every organization, if there is some regulation we have to comply to, if we don't do, then there will be penalty, there will be heavy fines. So for leadership, for board, it's extremely important that we are compliant to the regulations. And without a security framework, it's very difficult and challenging to demonstrate your compliance on a repeatable basis. Let us say you don't have a security framework. Let us say you are doing many things, right? You have implemented MFA, you have incident response, but you don't have a policy to start with. You haven't even written a security policy. You don't have security standards. So you might want to invest some money to hire some consultant on your own teams to write those policies, because if you haven't written anything, that will not be followed. If you haven't communicated something, that will not be followed. It will be followed maybe once, but not on a repeatable basis. And the organization's security maturity level can be only assessed or can be said to be mature if you are repeating those controls. The maturity is repeatable only then. It's not that just one time, you are mature and in quarter one you're mature, in quarter two, again, you're zero in your security posture. And that doesn't work. Again, HV, which framework is best for healthcare? I don't think I'll be able to answer that question. I'm giving you information so that you can answer this question for yourself. I'm sure in healthcare industry, there would be regulation like HIPAA and all other regulations. So you might want to find out from. But what I'm giving you, more information and knowledge so that you as a leader can decide what is the best for healthcare. But again, you might want to investigate. There are, healthcare industry has to comply to many regulations. So you have to keep in mind so that and build the applicable controls. Now, question for all of you. You have to articulate the risk of immature identity and access management to your C-suite. Which statement articulates risk? From this question, I'm just trying to find out if you really understand risk. Excellent, 83%. Excellent. For 16%, our IAM technology is not architecting to meet the business requirement. This is not risk. This is a vulnerability. So what is risk? Risk is the probability that a threat will exploit a vulnerability and the impact of that. And the impact depends upon the asset, the materiality of the asset. So that is the risk equation. So our IAM technology is not architected to meet the business requirement. That's a vulnerability. That is not the risk. Okay, I'll just do a pulse check to see if all is going well. I say thumbs up if you are understanding everything. It's all cool. Let me know. And if you are not understanding anything, just let me know. Thumbs down. This will give me a kick, I guess, to understand how the session is going. Thank you, everyone, for responding. Appreciate it. Okay, while you're doing thumbs up or thumbs down, I'll go, what are the main frameworks used today? I wanted to talk about these. Okay, so these are the main frameworks which you'll see around NIST CyberSecurity Framework, International ISO 27001. My apologies because I think it's hiding 27001. Thank you everyone for answering. I'll end this pulse check. Appreciate it. It seems everybody's doing fine. Thank you. Now, let's talk about NIST CyberSecurity first. Now, it's a free and globally recognized framework, and it was prepared by the National Institute of Standards and Technology with extensive private sector input, and it was issued in February 2014. This framework was developed in response to presidential executive order, at that time Barack Obama, 13636, that was the name of that executive order, and its name was Improving Critical Infrastructure Cybersecurity, and it was issued in 2013. And then this was issued, this cybersecurity framework was issued in February 2014. Now, important thing here is that the executive order, Barack Obama's executive order, directed NIST to work with industry leaders to develop this framework. It didn't say sit at your desk and develop it NIST by yourself. It asked them to work with industry leaders, and that is the value add because they are the ones who are really, facing the tune or facing the song, I would say. And this was developed in a year-long collaborative process in which NIST served as a convener for industry, academia, and government stakeholders. And that took place via workshops, extensive outreach and consultation, and a public comment process. So imagine so many brains going into building a framework. How much value it will provide to everyone, to all organizations. Now, the key in this cybersecurity framework is that it has made a shift from prevention to protection. As a security leader, you can't prevent everything now. If we are thinking, it means we, as a security leader, we are sleeping. We have to wake up. We cannot prevent every attack. We have to, from prevention to we should go towards protection, resilience. Because again, we can't protect every single form of attack. So that is how NIST cybersecurity framework has added recovery to the framework. How quickly can you, as an organization, can you come back on your feet once an attack has happened? And it also covers, NIST cybersecurity framework also covers Internet of Things and operational technology environment. Not only IT, but also operational technology and Internet of Things. If we go to International Organization for Standardization, ISO 27001, it doesn't cost much to access 27001, but it's costly to implement. And it could be quite costly depending upon the scope of the certification environment that you want to cover. It's globally recognized, and it's obviously the go-to for a lot of service providers. It has a long history, very well-renowned framework. Any organization can obtain ISO certification, but it's a very process-intensive and expensive exercise. It's also useful to note that ISO 27001 by itself doesn't map to anything, any other standard. But a number of other standards are mapped back to it. And then we come to COVID, which can be really costly and complex to implement. It was born in 1996, but has really become the go-to framework for Sarbanes-Oxley auditors. It's an IT governance framework, and it does contain a maturity model that others don't include, neither NIST or nor ISO. And the latest data in the industry shows that NIST cybersecurity framework has overtaken ISO 27001 as a predominant security framework. And it is because I said primarily due to the fact that NIST CSF, security framework, the acronym is NIST CSF, is a very simple framework, and also it's far less burdensome from a governance perspective than ISO 27001. NIST CSF is more outcome oriented. If you read it, it is more outcome oriented, whereas ISO tends to be more process oriented. And if your organization is a service delivery and is focused on demonstrating to the market that you recognize the importance of information security, then ISO 27001 security certification still remains the benchmark in that space. And then you may have commercial partners that require you to be certified against a particular standard for them to do business with you, or you want them to feel comfortable sharing their data with you. In this scenario, you may need to go to ISO 27001 certification. In another case, you could be needing to be certified to keep pace and differentiate yourself from your competitors. When you go to do business, you say, oh, we are ISO certified. It already sets you up for success. If so, if that's what, if you want to differentiate yourself and keep pace, then certainly ISO 27001 is a good idea. But here is my question to you. Let us say you are a small to medium-sized organization with a small security team and just starting out with low maturity. Do you think you should use ISO 27001 based on what I said? I don't think. You may not want to go for ISO certification because I can guarantee you'll be biting off more than you can chew, or you are going to get bogged down by security processes, which will consume every part of your day. And you are unlikely to be ever in a position where you will finish implementing. Because you're a small to medium organization, you're a small security team, and you have a low maturity. Not a good idea to go to ISO. So in that scenario, you might want to look for Center for Internet Security Critical Control, CIS Top 20. And that this is a very high, this slide gives you a very high level view. We just have 1.5 hour session, but I'm just trying to give you a holistic view of cybersecurity framework. And these three, you can dig deeper into these frameworks if you're more interested. But a lot of work, believe me. Okay, which framework should you select? That's the key question I think we all have been asking. At the end of the day, I would say it's a fair question, but it doesn't matter, or doesn't really matter which framework or catalog you select. As long as you select something, and the reason is none of these frameworks are perfect, none will solve all your problem, but if you don't pick one, you'll have problem. And the reason is, as I've said before, it is the defensibility that comes from having that framework. And it's a question we get asked all the time. Using a framework means that you've got the ability to provide that authority, that justification, and that defensibility, and of course, alignment to best practices. And these are the fundamental things that you are going to need to make sure that your security program runs effectively. And if you don't pick a framework, there'll be problems like critical control gaps, not addressing current and emerging threats in line with stakeholder expectations. And there'll be undue burden on your technical and security teams. Let us say you're building an incident response program, and here you have a supply chain. You need to have a supply chain, lot of supply chain vulnerability, and you have to fix those, and you have to have a program. Or you have a lot of disgruntled employee. You need to have a insider threat program, or you have to have a threat intelligence program, and you're not paying attention to that. So what's going to happen? You will be impacted if an incident happens. So there'll be wastage of precious funding on security controls that won't move the needle on the organization's risk profile. And sometimes organizations do adopt multiple frameworks to meet a range of use cases and requirements for their organization. Sometimes, I read one organization is US. They adopted NIST cybersecurity framework, but then they had to adopt another framework which is called NICE, National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education Skills, that could assess their staff skills. They also use CIS Top 20 controls framework to build their security baseline. So there you can mix and match and to meet your needs. I have a question here. I think DA is asking a question. If I'm not wrong, NIST doesn't define any controls, and controls are defined in SP 853. Yes, you're right, DA. That is a control catalog. And I will give you an example. I have a slide on what is the difference between a framework and control catalog. Just stay tuned. CSF also links to ISO. Since I'm not federal government, I've stayed away from my 853. Yeah, they all map back. But I'll in a few minutes I'll explain you the difference between a framework and a control catalog, and then you'll be able to understand. Okay. Can I build one from scratch? Can you build a security framework from scratch? I'm sure some other leaders have that question. My question is, why reinvent the wheel? Why not to learn from those who went before you? So in terms of starting out your journey of building your security program and the security framework and where to start with that particular process, a lot of other security and risk leaders around the world have gone down this organization path. And many along the way have made many mistakes, and they have all learned from it. So again, the question is, why would you want to reinvent the wheel? Because trying to do that will only cause you pain, and it will take you longer to implement than if you do pick one and align to it or tweak it according to your needs. And as I already said, these frameworks have been through rigorous peer review and consultation across a wide range of experts in the field. For example, NIST CSF has gone through multiple drafts, They have all been scrutinized by industry experts. It has been through multiple rounds of feedback and workshop over the 5 years, the period since President Obama issued EO in Feb 2023. In the same way, ISO 27000 has been 1001 has been around since 1995. So as you can see, there have been a lot of effort that's gone into these frameworks by a lot of very smart people. They have developed the version that you can use today. So again, why would you like to create work for yourself? Now, next question is, what is the difference between security framework, control catalog, and security processes? Now, I made I wanted to give you an analogy here. Now, these three elements, different elements, security framework, control catalog, and processes, these are interrelated and they perform different roles for a security and risk management program. Now, understanding their specific role and how they work together to support an organization's security program is a key element in effective security program execution. Extremely important that you understand what their roles are. Now, security framework describes what an organization will do to manage security risk. It describes what. What will it do? Control catalog describes how the organization will implement its control environment. Again, security framework says what to do. Control catalog says how to do. So control catalog helps you figure out how to do those things in a granular detail. And a great example of that is you think about NIST and ISO. Both tell you need to build an inventory of your information assets, but neither of them tell you how to do it. It also tells you need an encryption management plan. They won't tell you what key or cipher length to use on your network communication or the key length that you need when you're protecting your data at rest. So control catalog help you give that details. And you can use NIST 853 for if you're using CSF or CIS or ISO 27002 for control catalog. Now, let me give you an analogy. Let us say my friend says, I'm hungry. My friend, I know the context of my friend, how hungry he or she gets and whatnot. So he says, I'm hungry. So I say, you should eat spaghetti. I'm not saying you must eat spaghetti. I said you should eat spaghetti. The reason I'm saying spaghetti, because I know the context of my friend. He or she loves spaghetti. And all the time she thinks about spaghetti when thinking of food. So I said, you should eat spaghetti. Now, this is security framework. I said what you should do. Now, control catalog would be what kind of a spaghetti? Would it be a tomato-based spaghetti or a white sauce-based spaghetti? What ingredients would go? Would it be spicy, non-spicy? That is control catalog. Getting all those ingredients to create that spaghetti. That is a control catalog. And the processes are security processes. If we take that analogy, for how long that spaghetti will be cooked? Who will cook? Who will cook it? Where will it be cooked? Who will serve it? Roles and responsibilities. How timelines, roles and responsibilities. That all comes in security processes. So if you can understand this analogy, then it will be very simple for you to understand what the relationship between security framework, control catalog, and processes are. But if you see, to do something to implement that control, for someone to eat that spaghetti, they'll have to have what, how, and who will do it. All those things needs to be figured out. So security framework talks about what, control catalog talks about how, and security processes talks about the roles and responsibilities and timelines, all those things. I have a question for you. Did you like this example or not? Because I made it, I think, I've used it in last two sessions. But I would love to know, did you like it? Did you provide, when I say like, it means did it provide you the clarity I wanted to give you for the relationship between these three things? I'm putting this pulse check, say thumbs up if you think it provides you the clarity, and down if you don't think so. And I appreciate feedback because it really helps me. If you think this analogy doesn't work, it doesn't provide clarity, then I shouldn't use it. Okay, while you're answering thumbs up or thumbs down, I'll move forward. And I will take a break at, 9 o'clock, I guess. My 9 o'clock. I don't know what time is there at your side. Okay, while you're, telling me if you like that or not, here's a question for you. Out of the three, which one is a statement from a framework? I'll let you read it. Now, based on we talked about what, how, and granular details. Out of the three, which one is a statement from a framework? Okay, I will end the pulse check. Thank you everyone who answered. Appreciate it. 75% chose the second bullet. The data, personal devices, system, and facilities that enable the organization to achieve business purposes are identified and managed consistent with the relative importance to organizational objective and the organizational risk strategy. Excellent. If you see the first one, the 10% said, ensure that only software applications or operating systems currently supported and receiving vendor updates are added to the organization's authorized software inventory. This is telling how to do it, how to do asset management. Whereas number 2 is talking about what to do. Now, 15% said utilize software inventory tools throughout the organization to automate. Now, it is saying automate. It is again saying how to do it. So number 1 and number 3, all these two are how. Number 2 is a statement from the framework which is saying what to do. I hope that's clear. So let's take a 5-minute break. Let's come back in 5 minutes and talk about